Is Mike on? Well, wish I could say I enjoyed the concert at the Hollywood Bowl last night. Went to see Herbie Hancock, jazz aficionado, and the rich white people around me were talking the whole time. These people paid several $100s for a ticket, and then they ignored the show. It made me uncomfortable. I mean, there were drunk people to the right, full-on loud conversations, completely unaware, didn't care that we're sitting right there trying to listen. And then behind me, two women are talking about their nail appointment and what kind of nails they're going to get tomorrow. I shouldn't have left the house. I can't. What's wrong with Orny Adams? If you're keeping count, episode 122. All this jazz. Here's the other thing that was fascinating. The Hollywood Bowl,
What's his name, Cal?
something else, sold out. Herbie Hancock sold out. Very jazzy. I went, and I'm just sitting there going, I can't believe how hard I have to work to sell tickets for just a comedy club. Speaking of which, come see my shows. Go to ornyadams.com/tour. August 30th through September 1st, I will be in the Phoenix area, Desert Ridge, Arizona, the Desert Ridge Improv, August 30th to September 1st. September 5th, I'll be in Las Vegas. September 20 and 21, again in Las Vegas at the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club. September 14th, that's a Saturday at the Ice House in Pasadena. Tickets just went on sale. Tickets are really starting to sell. I'm at the Brea Improv. That's a big one. It's a big club. September 27th through 29th. I need your help with that one, everybody. Please come to that show. Please let everybody know. Listen to the thunder. Bringing that up and down. Yeah, please let people know and share my comedy. That really helps. Thank you to everybody that is passing around my videos, commenting on the videos, the people signing up for my Patreon. It's cool. I appreciate it. You can contact me if you want to send an email, what's wrong at ornyadams.com. What's wrong at ornyadams.com. But I encourage everybody to come see a show. I'm at the Comedy and Magic Club tonight. By the time you hear this, it'll be too late. You'll oh, wait, I could have seen him at the Comedy and Magic Club? Yeah, you blew it. I am fascinated by who can sell out the Hollywood Bowl. I really am. Is it a case of, now Herbie Hancock, he was there last night playing this one album from 1973, Headhunters, I think it was called. And I'll be the first to admit I don't understand jazz. I don't appreciate jazz on an intellectual level. I'd love to have somebody explain it to me. I'm open to trying to understand it. I think it involves heroin and other drugs, maybe. I get the artistry. I enjoy it. I enjoy listening to it. We were too far back to really see the musicians and their hands and how they were moving and all that sort of stuff, which would have been great. But again, completely distracted by everybody around me. It wasn't just, here's the other thing. Everybody shows up late. The show's at 8. Herbie's 125 years old. He's going to start at 8. Sure, he wanted the show to start at 6. In fact, they had to take an intermission, which I think was a bathroom break. Show up, because it's one of these things where it's like a ballpark. Everybody's got to get up, and they allow you to picnic there, so you can bring in wine bottles. I had a charcuterie platter on my lap. So if somebody had to walk by me, I had to pick up all the charcuterie. So just show up on time, please. He's playing an album from beginning to the end. Have some respect. I sat there quietly. I didn't look at my phone at all. I mean, that's the other thing. People, their phones are going. I'm looking at people looking at their social media. Like, why leave the house? Just listen to the album. He's very jazzy. It's jazzy. It's not like hits. In fact, he has one hit. You know his one hit. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, bam, bam. I'd play it, but it would be taken off of the YouTube would strike me. Bam, 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 bam. And then he did the theme to Beverly Hills Cop, and that put him on the map. Here's the thing. Those songs are really catchy. His other songs don't really sound like that. So everybody was there listening to this jazz album, and I kind of wanted to hear that. I thought, maybe they'll close with it. Well, they played in the middle, like a montage of all his hits. And in it was bum, 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 bum. But it wasn't even Herbie on the, he used to play that thing called a keytar. It looks like a guitar, but it's a piano. It was big in the 80s. And the thing is this big clunky thing. And I went with, by the way, Eric Stoltz I went with. I should say that to begin. Eric Stoltz, who is the sound engineer of this podcast, just got promoted from sound guy to sound engineer, took me. I was his guest. And it was fun. And he explained everything. He loves this album. And he loved the way they played it. And I enjoyed it. But I couldn't stop being distracted by everybody around me talking. Holy cow. Can people shut up? Shut up for an hour and a half. One guy, a few rows back, yelling out things that made him sound like he was a jazz aficionado, like, nice time change. I'm sitting there, I wanted to turn around and go, who makes a jazz concert about themselves? It's shocking. Then we were in a section that backed into like a main throughway for people to walk. And the Hollywood Bowl used to police that. They used to go up to people and go, hey, you can't stand here. Got to keep moving. Everybody got to keep moving. No smoking in this area. Keep moving. Let's go, everybody. They let people just camp out there. So now we paid for these nice seats. Eric did. Thank you, Eric, for taking me. And these people are just moving up and invading our space and having loud conversations. This isn't a nightclub. It's shame on the Hollywood Bowl. I'm not kidding. We deserve a refund for being subjected to your lack of policing. In comedy, it's called policing the room. They should absolutely be telling people to move. And I looked around and I said to Eric, I said, look at it. I said, where are the people that work? And he goes, oh, they're right there. I said, but they're not doing anything. And then I thought, it's like everything else. It's like what we talked about in the last podcast, the Secret Service. It's like all that. Everybody isn't working the way they used to. And I looked at the workers, and they're like little kids on summer break. Little UCLA students. Now, they're not going to go up to adults and say, could you please move? They're going to get punched or video recorded. And I thought, I don't blame them. But that's the world we live in now. We're all afraid. Even I was afraid to turn around to the two people talking about the nail session and say, hey, do you mind? Because I know in my mind, I would think, hey, you don't mind. Do you mind not talking? Sorry. It would come across as like, hey, shut up. So it's just not enjoyable leaving the house for that reason. For every reason. You just have to encounter people. And I see this selfish behavior at the gym. Everybody's sitting on the equipment on their phones. A lady was jogging in Northern California, of course, at 10 o'clock at night. Vanessa Chaput, C-H-A-P-U-T, 24. Oh, I'm sorry, she was in Canada. Yukon, Canada. She was hospitalized after a grizzly bear attacked her. Another reason not to leave the house. I just read that there's a bear in Burbank. That's like a city for people that don't know Burbank. And the bear was being chased by coyotes. And I thought, I'm just trying to fix my hair. When did we become like, cancel this podcast. When did we become like bears? There are bears? We have bears. So I don't want to leave the house. People in the neighborhood on the chat post pictures of mountain lions walking by their house. I'm done with it. Anyway, she took a jog and she comes around the corner and she saw what she thinks is a male bear, grizzly bear. 3 of them attacked her. And they had her head inside the mouth of the bear. And then the bear went to crunch down on her, and a hair clip, which I could use right now, scared the bear. You got to see what I'm doing with my hair. Scared the bear. And the bear released her. Now, here's the thing. They always tell you, like at the end of the article, they list what to do if a bear attacks you. Nowhere does it say you should be wearing a hair clip. Wear a hair clip. That's what they should tell you. So there were 3 bears that attacked her. They found the bears and they euthanized them, that's a whole nother discussion people will want to have. But she was in the hospital and doing okay. The only other thing that I thought was strange was she went for a run on this paved area, which is near residential homes. It was 10:30 p.m. Now, I don't mean to blame the victim, but that seems like, a little late to be jogging, maybe. She was with her dog. Her dog was barking, and she's grateful to be alive. She thinks the dog inspired her to fight a little bit. I don't know. This seems like, I don't know if it's global warming. I don't know what's going on, but there's a lot more bear attacks. Maybe it's because we're all more connected through social media, so we're hearing about it more. But shark attacks. There was a shark in Southern California that was stalking 2 guys on kayaks. I'm a kayaker. I'm a member of REI. I'm an outdoorsy man. And this scares me. I'm afraid to go in the water. I'll say it. I don't want to die from a shark attack. I don't even want to be bit by a shark. I don't want to see a shark. I don't want to see grizzly bears. So every time I think about going away, doesn't matter where you go, beauty comes with consequences. There are dangers. Every time you go, wow, that's beautiful. I'd love to go to that place. Well, you could be swallowed by a humpback whale. You want to go diving and see the coral? A shark could get you. You want to go enjoy a beautiful view of a mountain? You might be attacked by a bunch of coyotes or whatever. I mean, it's like you might be bit by a little spider. You know what feels safe to me? Just staying home. That's why I don't want to leave the house. I leave the house, I could get attacked by a manatee, by somebody at the Hollywood Bowl that I asked to be quiet. I don't honk anymore. Honking is scary nowadays. Honking used to work. Now it'll get you killed. I saw in San Francisco a bunch of these self-driving cars. What are they? What's the name of them? They're all just honking. It's waking up the neighborhood. Waymo's self-driving cars. The Waymo's self-driving cars have to park themselves at the end of the night. And what's going on is the Waymo's cars are like backing into spaces and almost hitting each other. So all you hear is, They're playing this clip all over the news. I was going to pull the clip, but guess what happens? I get in trouble. I get in trouble with YouTube. So make sure this camera's recording. I get in trouble. Yeah. So, anyway, here, and people are filming from their apartment buildings. You look down, and it's a bunch of these cars backing in and out of spaces, almost hitting each other. Good software. They're almost backing into each other, and they're honking. Self-driving cars are honking at other self-driving cars. And we think the robots are going to take over? It's such absurdity. You think that they would all be in symphony. They'd all be like through one dispatch, not to back into each other. They're honking at each other. Okay, here's the other thing. Why can't it just send some sort of signal to the other car that isn't a honk? Why does it have to wake up the neighborhood? I'm telling you, these self-driving cars have not been tested. I don't know how they're even regulated. All of a sudden, they just showed up. People just started to make them, and they just showed. It was like those scooters, those bird scooters, just showed up on the streets. Nobody like asked permission and said, "Can we just leave these all over the place, and then people will sign up for them?" They just did it. That's what I think the self-driving is. Who's overseeing this technology to make sure it's safe? I don't think anybody is. Well, More validation for me, for Mr. Orny Adams, okay? Paper straws are often touted as a great alternative to plastic. Not by me. Nope. I can't stand them. But there's a small problem with paper straws. They're toxic. I mean, first of all, they suck. They get all soft and gooey. It's not enjoyable to the plastic straw sucking experience. You know, I do a big bit about this. And, since I've seen other people sort of doing bits, which is interesting. Isn't that interesting? But I have a bit that's about 5 minutes long, and I will do it on my next special. I don't care. I don't care. I have provenance. I have me doing this bit. I put it up on my Patreon where a lady walked out. I think I've been doing it for years. And I've been pro-straw. I was raised on straws, and I'm pro-straw. I'm reading from this article. Initially, many saw paper straws as a solution to the plastic straw problem. Not me. But they have their own set of issues. They break down easily, making them difficult to use. Yeah, they're pathetic. They get all limpy. They need like straw Viagra. So manufacturers tried to address this by making them stronger. However, this also makes them harder to recycle. Well, who cares about recycling? As a result, don't you just throw them out? I mean, they're basically like mush. As a result, they haven't gained widespread acceptance. Recently, researchers have discovered that they have even more of a serious issue, which could ultimately lead to public reject of them as a viable alternative. A team of researchers from the University of Antwerp in Belgium has published a study on paper straws, and they found that most of them contain PFAS. PFASs are known as forever chemicals because they're extraordinarily persistent. They stay with you forever. They can lead to health problems such as liver damage, thyroid disease, obesity, fertility issues, and cancer. Thank you to the sea turtle that started it all. That showed up with a straw up its nose, a plastic straw. These forever, why don't we all just die? I mean, I think about like Tupperware. How's that plastic? You ever like get like rice that comes in a plastic bag that you put in the microwave? How's that plastic? We have plastic around. How's the plastic in this cup that I'm drinking out of that has the flamingos? Cute cup, but it was made overseas. You think they're regulating it? You think they care what forever plastic chemicals they're sending to America? Good old, we hate you, America. I mean, really, if countries like China wanted to kill us, just send toxic plastic over here. In these glasses that I had to have these plastic cups that have flamingos. I mean, we're surrounded by plastic. I'm holding this pen. It's plastic. Is the plastic seeping into my hand? Who knows? But they all hate America. And, I think about traveling. I get scared about traveling because I used to travel through Europe. I lived in Italy. And I would travel to different countries on the weekend. I loved it. It was the greatest time of my life. But here's the thing. I felt safer because America seemed more like a superpower then. And I always felt like if I got into trouble, the embassy would come and bail me out. That's not the case anymore. Now they're just taking Americans, like this poor ballerina, this Russian, I think she's in her 30s, Russian-American ballerina, lived here in Los Angeles, went back to Russia to visit her family. They looked through her phone. They found that she had given a donation for $51 to a pro-Ukraine foundation. And she just got sentenced to 12 years. 12 years. And they waited. The Russians knew. They waited until this most recent prisoner swap happened. And then they sentenced her to 12 years for giving $51 to a pro-Ukraine foundation. And that's what scares me because I've said a lot. I've said a lot in jest. I've said a lot in serious. I have opinions. People with opinions shouldn't go to other countries anymore. as scary as it is. I mean, I'd love to travel, but that's dangerous too. So you go to nature, you get mauled by a bear. You go to Russia, you get 12 years in jail. Why leave the house? We have these devices we can stare at that can virtually take us there. We can put on Apple goggles and go there. It's scary. You know, I got approached through my attorney to do a Comic-Con in Lithuania. They had seen my video and they offered, I think it was decent money. And then I started to think, wait a minute. Do they have freedom of speech in Lithuania? Like, is this a trap? Are they trying to get me over there so they can arrest me and imprison me? And I'm lost forever in a Lithuanian jail because I put a video up on the internet making fun of Lithuania? Because America, we all laughed at a video where I played the video on this podcast. I don't want to do the joke, but I knew nothing about Lithuania, and I made a joke about it. And it's funny, I put it up on the internet, and Lithuania is outraged. Outraged. So can I go to, I'm being serious, can I go to Lithuania? Or will I be taken out? It's scary. It's scary. Here's another reason not to leave the house. Where's this article? This is from the New York Times. John Holcroft. Hope I get his name right. It says, I reviewed restaurants for 12 years. They've changed, but not for the better. Have you gone out to eat recently? It's really bad. Food's bad. Service is bad. It's rare you have a good experience. It's rare you leave thinking, wow, everything was great. There's just a disconnect there. I don't know what it is, but I eat out a lot, and I'm finding that it's not worth the value. The prices have gone up too much. The experience is just not pleasant. So this guy, I'm sorry. This is from Pete Wells' last column as a restaurant critic for the New York Times. Oh, this is his last column. Pete Wells. Wells's, W-E-L-L-S. So last week, the restaurant loyalty app Blackbird, never heard of it, introduced a new app to pay for dinner. Customers check in on the app on arrival, pick a payment source and tip percentage, and then eat. You pay before you eat. So this is starting to feel like those delivery services. We have food delivered and you prepay a tip and hope it shows up. I've ordered those delivery services a few times, and 50% of the time, food shows up late, doesn't show up, it's cold, one time they dropped the entire bag on the pavement and asked us to come out and look at it and see if we would still eat it. He says, when you're done eating, you just get up and go. And he said, this makes you even more disconnected. In the 12 years as a critic, he ate and reviewed restaurants constantly. Of those years, he probably spent 2 solid months just waiting for the check. Yeah, you wait for the check. That's part of I can suss how quickly they want to get you out of the restaurant by how fast they get you the check. Like that one time Jim and I went out, we got thrown out of a restaurant. I was on a date once. I got thrown out for sitting there too long. They used to let you sit there. In Europe, they let you sit there. Here, they're like, you got to go. Sometimes you have to beg for the check. So this guy tries the Blackbird checklist exit, and he said it gives him the creeps. It is just the latest in a series of changes that have gradually and steadily stripped the human touch and the human voice out of restaurants. Each of these changes are small, but together they made going out to eat much less personal. Meals are different now, and our sense of who we are is different too. Many of the little routines of dining that we used to handle by talking to a person now happen on a screen. When we go to Shake Shack, we order and pay for a burger and frozen custard on a screen. In some cases, we enter our names on the waiting list for tables on a screen. We can scan QR codes. Oh, speaking of scanning a QR code, Eric did that last night. Eric wanted a pizza. Came from work, didn't want any of my charcuterie. goes to order pizza. There was a line. I didn't think it was that long. I said, Eric, wait, let's wait in the line. I'll buy you a pizza because he got me the ticket. He goes, no, I'm just going to do the QR code. He orders it, $28 for pizza with, he did it on the app and he tips, got a water, $28. It's weird to be tipping. I understand we want to support workers, but it isn't like, I guess the workers made the pizza. I'm conflicted. I just am. And it's a shitty little, worse than frozen pizza at the Hollywood Bowl is $19. It's garbage. He offered me a piece, and I said no. When's the last time you heard Orny Adams say no to a piece of carbohydrates? Never. No way. But if he had been patient and didn't want to use the QR code, I would have paid. So then I said, oh, look, they have cushions, rental cushions. I said, let me get you that. And then we get closer, and it's $1. I'm like, oh, this is great. The thing I'm paying for is $1. And then there's a sign that says free for American Express card holders. I go, or Visa, whatever it was. I go, I got a bunch of those. I gave one to Eric. Now I got the $1 cushions for free. And Eric said, only you. The one thing you're going to pay for, you get for free. Damn right. Damn right. Before we walk in the door, okay, we scan QR codes so we can read the menu on a screen. Restaurants are turning into, listen to this, restaurants are turning into vending machines with chairs. I mean, it's not quite that, but feels like that sometimes, doesn't it? Before we walk in the door, we usually made a reservation on a screen. You could still make reservations by phone in 2012. I agree. You used to be able to call a place and negotiate and be nice. Just like I'm nice to the people at the supermarket checkouts to try and get the 10-cent bag fee waived if I didn't bring my bags. You could negotiate. Go, hey, this is Orny Adams looking, maybe they know me. Looking for a table for 2 for tonight. And, maybe they'll put you on a list for a cancellation. But everything is digital. It's so distant. Most restaurants, he said, don't even have phones anymore, which is true. They don't even want to pay for a phone or a person to pick up the phone. So he just goes through everything that has changed. While most of those neighborhood joints are on delivery apps now, there are also vendors. So he talks about online reservations are easier on the ego because they free us from the humiliation of no. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. Many of these technologies spread during the pandemic when there was a compelling reason to limit human contact. But the use of tech through social distancing hasn't gone away. One result is that we feel increasingly alienated from the people who cook and serve our food. This is absolutely true. When the menus on your phone, sometimes you can order on your phone. Like comedy clubs, you can order drinks on your phone. Why comedy clubs are encouraging people to look at a screen in the middle of a show baffles me. I hate being interrupted. It's no wonder we are always hearing about diners acting like entitled jerks. They've been trained to expect that everybody who works in a restaurant should be as fast and compliant as a touch screen. Oh, here's the other thing. This is fascinating. People who consume a steady diet of bucket lists and viral videos rush from one restaurant to another so they can post about it to prove they were there. They go to places solely so they can put a photo of a viral egg sandwich or a rainbow bagel on Instagram. Whether the sandwich or bagel tastes good is irrelevant. The point is to prove that they were there. Most of these people will never return. Restaurants that are packed for the first few weeks because of this, then are empty 6 months later. The wisest owners now avoid serving anything that might go viral because they don't want their business to burn itself out. Wow. He just talks about how you used to go to restaurants, you'd meet the chef, you'd meet people, you'd know the waiter. There would just be a sense of something local. I mean, there's some restaurants in Burbank I go to and the owner's still there, and I love that. I really do. But it has gotten out of control. Should I do a couple of letters from people? A couple of emails? Got a lot going on here, episode 122. I talked about this stuff. Oh, here's a new trend on TikTok. Raw dogging on flights. I thought, oh no, the guys are not wearing underwear under their shorts or something. But I guess what it is you don't look at your screen or read a book. You just look forward for the entire flight. Now, I wish people did this at the Herbie Hancock concert. I wish people raw dogged that. But people had to look at the screen. Had to. But there are people that are now doing nothing. I like the relaxing aspect of being disconnected on flights, reading. I do watch some movies, but I can't imagine just staring. Oh, and some of them don't eat either. Forget that. TikTok trends, let me just say this. TikTok trends are dumb. They're dumb. It just shows what sheep herd mentality people have. Oh, this guy's going to raw dog on a flight. I'm going to do it. I want to be just like that person. I want to be miserable. One guy flew like 12 hours and did it. I want to be miserable for 12 hours. He wouldn't even take a nap. He was like a raw dog purist. Stupid. Stop getting medical advice from TikTok. There's some new one called Rice Zempic. And people are saying if you take raw rice and you overnight let it soak in a bowl with water, then you drain that water, which to me, I thought that's how they make rice milk, and you drink that, that's going to help you lose weight just like Ozempic. Bullshit. Because it's got something called resistant starch and blah, 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 blah. Don't get medical advice from TikTok. Don't do the trends. In fact, stay off TikTok. Rice Zempic. I am so sick of fad diets. Just eat the rice. Just eat the rice. Just eat the rice. Rice. Bum 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 bum. Jay, I won't say her full name, from Norway, sent me a very nice email. She corresponds from time to time. I believe she's a Patreon subscriber, and she was telling me a tragic story that happened in Norway, and I'll sum it up. I hope she doesn't mind. There was what she called a town drunk, and she's, I believe this woman's maybe in her 40s now, but she said, I knew this guy my entire life. He was always there. She said, I never one time ever saw him sober. He was fascinating. He was interesting. He definitely had demons. He drank all the time, and people just knew him. And as the years went on, he started to lose his memory and slipped into dementia, which may have happened, but probably didn't help that he was drinking every day. Of course, if I was in Norway, I'd be shit-faced too. You should see some of she put the guy's name in there and I couldn't even pronounce it. I'd be so disappointed in my Norway pronunciation, my Norwegian, I would drink. Anyway, the guy slips into such dementia. He used to call her boss girl, and then all of a sudden couldn't remember faces, and it became sad. And eventually they had to put him in a home. And then he had a house. And they burned the house down, the city. Instead of bulldozing it, they burned down the person's house. I don't know why they didn't sell it, but it's just a sad story. First I saw the picture. I saw that there were pictures attached, so I looked and I saw the fire. She sent a picture of the house burnt down. I thought, oh no, the guy lit himself on fire by accident. So at least he's in a home and maybe you can go visit him, right? All right, maybe you can do that. Here's another one. This is another Patreon user, Jay. I'll just say her first name, Jay, and she's in Australia. And she said, Dear Orny, I love your comedy and absolutely adore your podcast. You leave me always wanting more. Well, you're getting more right now, episode 122. I agree with you on so many subjects you talk about. Jim Clemente and you are a powerful, dynamic team. Jim Clemente, former FBI profiler, was on the last podcast, and he brought his brother, Tim Clemente, who is a former FBI sniper, retired. They're both FBI. One's a profiler, one was a sniper, and very fascinating conversation. I encourage you, if you haven't listened to it or watched it, it's on my Patreon right now. It'll be on YouTube eventually. All these end up on YouTube. few episodes behind on YouTube. I encourage you to go watch or listen. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and please write a review if you like it and share it. That helps. And if you want to write me an email, it's what'swrong@ornyadams.com. She continues. This is Jay in Australia. Watching you both with your brains get ticking, I know it's going to go from 0 to 100 in moments. At first, it seems all over the place, but then it all ties together. That's my stand-up. If you ever see me, if I go to Australia, Jay, come see me do stand-up. That's what it's like. I think you are a perfect example of what happens when a child grows up in a nuclear, loving family that is loving, caring, and nurturing. Well, I am very fortunate for the family that I have. I agree with that. Then she said, we need more people like you, Orny. You're beautiful inside and out. I don't know about that. You have humanity and manners and art lost in today's society. Well, I would agree there's no manners. There's no civility. Right? We saw that at the last night at the Hollywood Bowl, where people are just running amok, yelling, not even in their section. I mean, that was the thing. These people were standing behind us in an area, disturbing us who paid for these seats. And I turn around and look, and even that didn't like you used to be able to look at people, and then they'd go, oh, sorry. You used to be able to honk, and people go, oh, sorry. Now looking at people for talking will get you shot, honking will get you shot. The poor people that work at the Hollywood Bowl don't even want to approach people. They're just like, I just want to get out of here. I just want to make my $15 an hour. I want to get out of here. I want to smoke a joint and play Nintendo or whatever they play. I just said Nintendo because it's an article in the New Yorker mentioned Nintendo. Was it? No. That was, what was that with the Nintendo? Oh, that was the Disney story. Hang on a second, Jay. Let me talk about this Disney because I'll forget. I'm going to continue with Jay's email. Disney, these corporations are out of their mind. Guy goes to a Disney theme park in Orlando, eats at a restaurant with his wife, who's a doctor. They express to now I'm thinking that this should all be done over a computer. And they should order through a computer. Did they use the Blackbird app? They expressed to the restaurant several times, including the waiter. They got assurance from the chef. They said, she's highly allergic to nuts. Can you assure us that there's no nuts at all involved in any of this food? And they named what she got, and they ordered the assurance. When it arrived, they said, again, this doesn't have nuts, right? There's no nuts. Guess what happened? She ate it. Then they're walking around the area, the Disney area. A few minutes later, she can't breathe. She goes into anaphylactic shock and dies. And the guy goes to sue Disney. This is the best part. Disney claims, because in 2019, this just happened. In 2019, he signed up for Disney Plus. You know, the streaming, Disney Plus. And on that, it says you can never sue the Disney Corporation for anything. It has to go into litigation. It has to go into, what do you call it, where a third-party arbitration. Because he signed up, this world, he signed up for Disney Plus, okay? And you know when you sign up for Disney Plus, there's like 2 pages, you got to scroll down on anything. Scroll down, agree. Well, you don't have time to read that. You ever try and read it? You don't understand it anyway. It's written in a language that we can't understand. And in that language, it said he won't sue Disney. Now, he's signing up for a streaming service. Then he goes to, and by the way, it was just for 1 month. It was 1 month, and it was a trial period. So I don't think he even paid. Then he goes to eat, 2024, or maybe it was 2023. Wife dies because the restaurant served him food that he was assured didn't have any nuts in it. He goes to sue, and they're like, you can't sue because in 2019, you signed a waiver. It's such bullshit. They need to stop these waivers. They need those things that you sign your life away. You can't read. You just want to sign up and start using the app. It's like these fees, airline fees, restaurant fees. Stop effing the consumer. Our government needs to step in and say enough with it needs to be reasonable. Whatever you're signing off for, if it's Disney, it has to be reasonable. It has to be like, oh, if there's a service interruption, you're covered for this, this, and this, or blah, 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 blah. Or Disney's not responsible for the programming if it triggers you and you go out and shoot people. Like, I can understand that. But this is outside the scope. Boy, am I happy I sold that Disney stock now. Anyway, Jay in Australia, she said, for me and Jim to talk about, she gave a suggestion. She said, you should talk about this Australian female cannibal, Katherine Knight. Hollywood is making a movie about that parasite. Katherine Knight, I don't know this story. So immediately, curious, I'm about to record the podcast. I'm like, I better figure out what this Katherine Knight is. Katherine Mary Knight, Australia's worst female killer. She decapitated her husband's head, put it in a pot on the stove, and then planned to feed it to her own children. The husband, who was killed, Price, had just that day been to a local court in Scone. Oh, I'd love a scone right now. Oh, boy, would I love a scone. Oh, it's the way the British make the scones are so good. American scones are just like basically a donut. Price had just been to the local court to get a violence order against her, like a protection order, because of a series of fights. He said her motive was revenge. With exclusive insight into the case, they're doing this is 2019, a documentary called That Shook Australia. Knight, I'll read about this a little bit, but then I'll have Jim Clemente on. Jim can come on and really get to the bottom of this. Knight, and this is what's amazing, I've never heard of this person. There are so many serial killers now and murderers and bad people, and because of the streamers, we're now being introduced to it. I didn't know murder was so frequent. So I don't shush people at the Hollywood Bowl. Well, I'll save this one for next time. Your tongue could be the key to early disease and detection. So I'm running out of steam over here. Knight premeditated the murder of her partner days in advance, a court determined. When Price was sleeping, that's the husband or the guy that she was dating, after they had sex, Knight went on a stabbing spree. So Knight is the killer, Price is the victim. So they had sex, then she stabbed him. Judging by the blood evidence, Price woke up during the frenzy before attempting to escape as Knight chased him through the home. He managed to open the front door and get outside, but either stumbled back inside or was dragged back into the hallway. Oh, can you imagine that? You got to see what this woman looks like. She looks like she could be doing some serious dragging. Where he finally ended up in the hallway, dying from bleeding out. Knight then flayed his body with her favorite knife. Now, let's stop there. I've never read this, but who has a favorite knife? I don't. I got a block of knives. They all seem pretty equal to me. She has a favorite knife. If you're dating somebody and they have a favorite knife, leave. Find somebody else. Her favorite knife. She made a skin suit. Oh, I'm going to throw up. Which she hung from a meat hook. That's the other thing. Why does she have a meat hook? And then decapitated him and boiled his head on the kitchen stove. What a lovely way to go. You just got laid. You just want to fall asleep. And then next thing you know, you're being filleted in the hallway and made into goat's head soup. When Price didn't show up to work in the morning, his boss called police, who arrived to one of the most savage crime scenes in his... Oh, the poor boss found out? I would have called the police. They found Knight comatose on the floor. Wait a minute, Knight? Knight's the killer. In the kitchen, they discovered baked potatoes, pumpkin in the oven, and a still warm pot with Price's head floating in it with cabbage and zucchini. Oh, how have I never heard of this? I'm trying to think, does cabbage and zucchini go with human head? I don't know. Cabbage and zucchini. I'm not a fan of boiled zucchini to begin with. Not a fan of human head either. Not that I've ever had it. Knight, boy, this article's even better than I could have imagined. Knight got together with Price, a well-off miner. Well, those minors, they can do well, I guess. In 1994, the couple moved in together the following year. The relationship started off well, always does, until you find out she has a meat hook and a favorite knife, but quickly turned violent. In 1998, the pair got into a massive argument because Price did not want to get married. Wow. I've dated a lot of women that wanted to get married. I'm lucky I didn't get turned into soup. This guy must have been a real catch. In a rage of anger, Knight videotaped out-of-date medical kits Price had allegedly stolen from work and sent the video to his boss. Price was fired from the job that he had worked at for 17 years. Oh, that's pretty dirty. Price, sometimes you got to marry a chick or she's going to do that. Screw with your work. Price kicked her out, so she lived with him. But they got back together a few months later. Oh, you never go back. Not when they have a favorite knife. It wasn't long before the arguments kicked off again. The final straw for Price was when Knight stabbed him in the chest in February 2000. Yeah, that's my policy. You stabbed me, I'm out. That's where I draw the line. On February 29th, he went to the Scone Magistrates Court on his way to work and took out a restraining order against Knight. So she got him fired, then stabs him, still together, gets a restraining order. He told his co-workers afterwards that if he didn't show up at work the following day, it was because Knight murdered him. That's the other thing. This happens sometimes where people suspect that somebody's going to kill them and then they get killed. So if you suspect somebody's going to kill you, get the hell away from that person if you can. This guy's living with her. Before Price, Knight was in a relationship with a fellow arbiter, these are Australian words, arbiter worker, John Callenworth, whom she had a son with. Prior to that relationship, Knight was with a minor, David's son. Boy, she loves these minors. And she found this guy, Price, and she's like, this guy's a keeper. Better marry me or I'm going to stab him. Listen, let me just give some advice to women. If the ultimatum is marry me or I'm going to stab you, I think most guys are going to think, wow, this is probably not going to work out long term. Because something's going to lead to me getting stabbed. Over the course of their long-term relationship, Knight cut out his... What? Over the course of their long-term relationship, Knight, that's the killer, cut his dog's throat in front of him as a threat. This woman's despicable. This woman's a piece of shit. Knocked him unconscious with a frying pan, burnt his face with an iron, and stabbed him in the stomach with a pair of scissors. Listen, I've been in some bad relationships. This tops them all. Thank you, Jay, for sending me this as a suggestion. I'm definitely going to bring this up with former FBI profiler, Jimmy Clemente. He finally left her and went into hiding. That's a good boy. Knight started her long line of violent relationships with another co-worker, David Kellett. Boy, she just works her way around that office, doesn't she? Knight met Kellett in 1973, with the pair getting married the following year. She tried to strangle him on their wedding night because they only had sex 3 times before he fell asleep. Okay, here's the deal. I'm starting to see a pattern. If you don't have sex with this woman and go to bed, it's not safe. You have sex with this woman, and then you look at her and you go, hey, should we do this again? Are we going to do this again? I want to live to the morning. One more time? What? One more time? You got to stay up until she falls asleep. In an Australian first for a woman, Knight was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Her trial in 2001. How was she not? This is like the 25th anniversary. Or close to it. How is she not? Do they have the death penalty in Australia? Her papers were marked never to be released. Yeah, how about snuff her out? During sentencing, I read that she had the head boiling, and then I guess she passed out. I don't know why she was on the floor. I've got to figure that out. Talk about that with Jim. Then she had bowls out for the kids with like name tags in front of the bowls where they should sit and eat her boyfriend's head soup. Anyway, I'll read into that more because I don't know where I read that, but what a fascinating. Oh, wait a minute. This is, what a fascinating article. I'll get into that with Jim. Listen, the email, if you want to email me, if you want to be like these people, these lucky people that hit the jackpot, it's what's wrong at ornyadams.com. You should come see my stand-up shows. I'll discuss that at the end, but I just want to discuss one more article because I was just talking about this with my dad. This is from the New Yorker, the July 29th issue. There's a couple. The title of the article is The Mystery of the French Shipwrecks Stolen Gold. And I loved it. My dad said, what did you love about it so much? I said, because it has nothing to do with what we're dealing with now. It's not politics. It's a couple that lived in Florida, and they became friends with this French couple, or maybe they were an English couple, that had a boat down there in Florida. And the couple said, hey, could you hold some of this gold we found on a shipwreck off of England? And these people got busted for having the gold. Fascinating story. What happened was they were on a cruise, and the cruise stopped in, I think, England, and they got arrested. And this gold was from the 70s. It's from a shipwreck from the 200 years ago. And somehow they got caught up in this thing and they got locked up abroad. It's a really interesting story. I'm not doing it any justice because I'm going to be honest with you. My brain's fried at this point. I was at Herbie Hancock last night. I had a little bit of mezcal. I made my mezcal drink. I had charcuterie. I had some cheese that was delicious. And I enjoyed Herbie Hancock as much as I could with all the chit chat around me. But let me sum up, because what's happening here, and I think I have a great guest lined up for the next episode. I am off next month in September. I am booked solid. In fact, I just picked up a new gig in New York City, the Big Apple. A big corporate gig for a bunch of, I probably can't say, I'm probably going to have to sign an NDA, but it's a really big gig. And I called my friend Tom, who's got an empty penthouse, and I said, Tom, these are people I'm rolling with. I said, can I stay at your penthouse? And he said, sure. So they're going to put me up for a couple of nights, and then I'm going to, the gig, the corporation, the people I'm working for, trying to be ambiguous. And then from there, I'll stay at Tom's house for a few nights. But what will be hard is not doing shows. I'm going to try and be a tourist in my own city. I'm going to try not to go to the Comedy Cellar or Gotham or any of these places and do stand. It's going to be really hard. It's going to be so hard. But I'm going to try and do it. So I'm in, September, I'm in Vegas a couple of times. I'm at Desert Ridge in Arizona. I'm at the Ice House. I'm in Brea. And now I'm in New York City. So I'm traveling a lot. I'm going to do my best to do this podcast because I love you guys. And I really appreciate all the people on Patreon. Also, I'm getting a bunch of cameos now. Kind of ashamed to be on there, but, whatever. It makes people's days. Me wishing them a happy birthday. So we're doing that. And, so September, I'm gonna have to leave the house a lot, which pains me. Absolutely pains me. Because you leave the house, you get mauled by a bear, or you are around a bunch of a-holes at the Hollywood Bowl. I just want to say this. What just died? Oh, that camera just died. I just want to say this without sort of making it about what it feels like it is. But it felt highly inappropriate that these people were talking during a jazz. Do you know what I'm saying? It felt, it was cringy. It was cringy. So anyway, I'm doing what I love. I'm hitting the road a lot in September, and I'll say this for 2025, because a lot of people ask me what cities I'm going to. I just booked 10 weeks already for 2025, so I'll be out there. I'll be in Vegas a lot. Be at that Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club. So I'm excited. I'm at the Comedy and Magic Club tonight, and let me tell you something. A lot of new stuff. I'm firing on all cylinders over here. August 30th through September 1st, Desert Ridge in Arizona. Vegas, September 5th Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club, Vegas, September 2021. Vegas, Ice House, Pasadena, September 14th. September 27, 29, Brea Improv. That is, go to ornyadams.com/tour for all the information. You know, Eric Stoltz, the sound engineer for this podcast, mixed this song originally. Now he's back, kicking ass. Thank you for taking me last night to see Herbie Hancock and rude people around him. And thank you for mastering this audio. We're just gonna get it out today. We don't have time to mess around. I got a show tonight. Fired up. I have so much to talk about. I'm going to talk about why rich people are rich and they will always be rich, and why there will always be poor people. There will always be inequality. I'll tell you what I'm not doing tonight. I'm not taking a self-driving car because I don't trust that technology yet. No, siree, Bob. Thank you, everybody. And I look forward to seeing you when I leave the house.